2017 legal year opens with call for unity. Late Sir Henry Chow described as a humble man. And gun surrender date set for Hela.
This is National MTV News with Helen.
Good evening. It's the start of another working week. This is Monday's news. Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia has encouraged members of the law and justice sector to uphold their constitutional duties. Sir Salamo told members of the three disciplinary forces that the future of PNG lies in their hands, thus it needs a collective effort from all law enforcing agencies to work in union. The Chief Justice made these remarks during his address at the opening of the 2017 legal year in Port Moresby.
A small ceremony was staged in Port Moresby to mark the opening of the 2017 legal year. It involved a parade from the 5-mile roundabout to the Sioni Kami Memorial United Church. The parade involved members of the three disciplinary forces, the magisterial and judicial services, and lawyers. Chief Justice Salamo Injia addressed members of the sector and reminded them of the important roles they play. A dedication service was held after the parade to commit members of the law and justice sector to God. Following the legal year opening ceremony, pending court cases before the Waigani and Bomana National Courts will resume. Teklagunga, National MTV News.
A senior lay district court magistrate says while he appreciates the overcrowding problems at Buimo, there are different cases that appear before the courts. Some cases are very serious while others are not so serious. Jeremiah SINGOMAT says with matters of releasing persons in custody into the communities on bail should encompass all legal considerations. Many of these cases have processes and procedures that the courts have to follow. The magistrate made these remarks at the opening of the legal year today in Lay.
Magistrate SINGOMAT in an interview today says the committal courts do their best to release people who appeared before the courts, but there are some bail conditions for persons appearing. Magistrates can only grant bail to those appearing on less serious offences like assault. Magistrate SINGOMAT's remarks were in response to an appeal made by the Buimo Jail Commander Superintendent Felix Namane for courts to fast-track cases. 2 weeks ago, Namane raised the alarm after the jail exceeded its holding capacity of 400 to accommodate 865 prisoners. SINGOMAT said if there are situations that require proper screening and arresting officials, prosecutors and even lawyers need to provide adequate information. This can assist the court decide on whether or not to grant bail. SINGOMAT says many times suspects appearing at the committal court wait for a long time as statements and evidence needed to be presented at the court were not available.
Arresting officers, prosecutors and lawyers or the parties who are applying for bail to give me good enough information so that will assist me in the court.
On less serious offences, magistrates have the liberty to release suspects. But for serious crimes like robbery and willful murder, the 3-month time frame is not always followed, as the courts believe the society deserves better justice to be served.
We say that is waiting too long. We discharge the people. The person cannot be waiting for justice. You know, justice delayed is justice denied.
Matalavis, National MTV News, Lay.
Hundreds in Port Moresby gathered this morning at the Mary Help of Christian Shrine in the Don Bosco Tarama campus to celebrate the life of longtime businessman, the late Sir Henry Francis Chow. Many described late Sir Henry as a humble, loving man.
It was a fair turnout this morning at the Don Bosco Tarama campus for the Eucharistic celebration for the late Sir Henry Francis Chow. The service gathered people from all sectors of life, a pathway Sir Henry was strongly engaged in throughout his life. Many attended with a saddened heart, paying their respect to a man many described as humble and loving.
He loves his employees and the employees love him. And that is why his business is growing.
Agnes PARU has been late Henry's assistant secretary for the last 15 years. She defined late Henry as a real gentleman.
Sir Henry Chow is a hero. He's a business-minded man. He loves everyone. He's so generous, so supporting. And he loves all his workers, from up down to the grassroots.
Former director Dr. Thomas Webster says late Chow pushed NRI to its limits with critical researches in addressing human needs.
One of the many things that, after many things that he has done, and a few things that I can remember his directions as always, make that research relevant to the needs of our people. And he was simple in his ways.
Sir Henry has been the chairman for the last 10 years, and he has contributed to how NRI has been shaped as a mere, from just a mere research institute to a public policy think tank. So that, he has contributed a lot in that area.
In Ley, grieving workers from Ley Biscuit and Prima, two of Ley's prominent companies owned by Sir Henry and his family, attended a similar service. Ley City has been a big part of his life. Sir Henry Chow was described as a man of the people and of the community. In the memorial service held in his own city, Father Arnold of the St. Mary's Parish described how Sir Henry took care of his 1,200 workers at his various manufacturing. This service was attended by most of Ley's prominent businessmen and old families. Late Chow died on the morning of Saturday, 21st January in Sydney, Australia at the age of 84 after suffering a stroke. Jack Lapava Jr. National, MTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, who attended and spoke at Sir Henry's funeral service in Sydney, described him as a great friend of business in Papua New Guinea and a great believer in the country. Mr. O'Neill said despite all his remarkable achievements, Sir Henry always remained a humble man and passionate about things that mattered to local communities. He thanked Sir Henry's wife, Lady Colette, and the Chow family for sharing Sir Henry with the nation before saying his contributions would not be forgotten. A Port Moresby couple claims police officers stole 8,000 kina in cash after assaulting the wife in Port Moresby's Vadavada settlement. The wife is an elderly woman and says she is now suffering from bruised knees. The incident occurred last Tuesday and was reported to Port Moresby police.
Henrik Tula and his wife Linda Pulali are a business-minded couple. They sell betel nut, cigarettes and assorted canned drinks at Vada Vada where they reside. Henrik said he was selling cigarettes when a group of police officers arrived and chased his wife and another woman, Helen Tia, into his premises. Henrik claims a police officer took his wife's bilum and removed a wallet which had 6,000 kina in cash.
Em olim narbla side, me olim narbla side, me pull him, me check him bilum, no got one plus something sleeping jet, empty.
When Henrik realized the wallet was missing, he approached the police officers, who told him they returned the wallet not to his wife Linda, but to the other woman, Helen.
It all Narbla policeman only no kiss him. You must kiss him na give him Narbla, give him back. Now money policeman care up to all them. Wallet am loose up long ground na me kiss him. To all them. Now me to all them. You put him where? To me kiss him na put him long bilum na put him inside long yard blom me. Me talk him lo show him. Me bla all get a public me bla come now. Me bla go look him inside him. True wallet kiss him na put him long bag blow labun mary. Bilum blow labun mary. Now wallet was open. This la post blow, Mrs. Blow me open, money sleep longen. Now no got money stop in jet. Now me blow get a look at wallet sleep in jet all time. Sleep in jet long bilum blow mary, but how comes sleep blow up? Me to all them publicly you black see money blow me so give him back.
Helen also claims she lost 1,600 kina in cash. She said she struggled to hold on to a bilum, knowing that she had a large sum of money in it. Unfortunately, the police officer managed to remove a bilum, but not before he assaulted her.
Na mi tubla kami inside lo bani siya nogar. Tubla man siran long. Waya backside ya tubla club calm down na. Naraplaya only me. Naraplaya only naraplaya. Em only me tubla. Now em come tasolia em no. Only me lo puli mi golo kami golo police car o em nogar. Em come lo pulling bilum lo mi. Em come lo pulling bilum lo mi na mi got money. Me got 1,400 kina inside lo bilum lo mi. Osem na mi les lo losing bilum long and lo police. Money stuff inside there. How ba me losing bilum lo mi? Mi olim stron bilum lo mi em walk lo puli mi go gamna. Em sugrup lo mi. Now em dry na you've looking.
The NCD command is aware of this incident and they will be investigating the alleged offense. Thakla Gunga, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. Hela provincial government announces gun surrender dates, a call to scrutinize the hiring of assistant returning officers, and no classes at university following staff association strike threat. Stay with us for details. Welcome back. Hela provincial government has announced dates for gun surrender programs and peace ceremonies throughout the province. Hela Governor Francis Potape says these dates must be followed before the gun amnesty elapses.
Following the slow progress of gun surrendering in the Hela call-out operation, the Hela provincial government and joint forces have scheduled dates for warlords to come forward. Yesterday, Hela Governor Francis Potape and PNGDF Task Force Commander Lieutenant Colonel John MANUAI announced the dates.
And all of those warlords out there, now we have given you the dates, the timeline. You must now work together with the Peace and Good Order Committee members to sign peace agreements and surrender your weapons.
The gun surrendering dates fall between 13th and 23rd February. Hulia LLG will begin and end on the 23rd in Beneria. On the 27th of February, all guns will be destroyed.
And banned in public, so we will do that in Tari on the 27th. And on the 28th will be the handover and the takeover of the operations commander.
With much of the focus on unlicensed firearms, joint forces have also called on those individuals who have licenses to guns.
Some of the things we would like to know is the type of firearms that you're licensed to carry, and the kind of ammunition and where you get those ammunitions from. Those are some of the things that we'd like to know.
Hela Governor Francis Potape says those who ignore the dates will be dealt with by the joint forces.
After the 28th of February, more policemen and soldiers will come, and will come straight to your house, and you are answerable to them. The measure of the government, is Lamari Mari by Penis.
In a separate interview, Police Commissioner GARI BAKI says the call-out will be reviewed following its progress.
I will be touring Hela in sometimes next week, and the idea of it is to look at the operations and the success of it, or the failures and what are the issues that are confronting us, and to review the conduct of the operation so we can take a better approach in Hela.
So far, 3 major gun surrender programs have been effected in the call-out operation. Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
Hela Governor Francis Potape is calling on the Electoral Commissioner to screen the appointment of assistant returning officers in Hela. Governor Potape said community leaders are seeing AROs moving around with intending candidates with rumors of inflating the common roll. The Hela provincial government has warned all AROs to carry out a free and fair election.
Inflating figures just to produce leaders, ballot paper leaders. And Hela people expect better than that. And I am basically saying that no early campaign should be allowed in this province. No early campaign not to be allowed in this province. Time to campaign back home. And AROs who are conducting the common roll update, do not run around with politicians, inspiring candidates and anybody. You do your job.
Last week, academic staff from the University of Papua New Guinea School of Medicine and Health Sciences announced their stop work in protest over entitlements owed to them since 2014. UPNG main campus classes came to a halt today because of the threat by the UPNG National Academic Staff Association, who have announced that they will not return to work until their 7.5 pay increments from 2015 are paid.
MTV News spoke with NASA President Emmanuel Goria today. He said that they hadn't collected enough signatures but was certain that by this afternoon they would have enough from academic staff to stop work for 5 days. While the semester 2 for 2016 is midway through its course, the stop work is another dilemma for final year students who are eagerly wanting to graduate. Final year geology student Ben MONDO says he hoped the government would listen if they were serious about education.
We're supposed to finish last year, but we are coming here to continue on into this year, and this stop work for lectures, it's going to be affecting us. And it's lecturers are important people we depend upon, and if the government can hear us or the message can be passed through them as soon as possible, that would be better for us.
NASA President Goria said that they would be meeting with the acting Vice Chancellor Vincent Malaibe this afternoon. Vice Chancellor Professor Albert Mellom is currently on leave. MTV contacted the administration for comments. They have advised that they were currently meeting on the issue and would address the media when they have talked with NASA. Meanwhile, UPNG medical faculty stop work protest is continuing on into its second week. Both stop work protests is because of payment issues from the government. Adelaide Tirox, Kari National, MTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4040 Australian dollars, $0.2846 euro, and 35.06 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, cocoa closed lower, gold, coffee, and copra closed higher. Crude oil closed lower, while palm oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 7.13 points lower, the ASX is trading at 52.48 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 51.25 points lower. You're with Monday's news. Buka Ring Road section opened, no tuition fee-free funding for Bougainville, and stories making headlines overseas. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. No more bumpy rides for the people of Halia constituency in Buka as the 10 kilometers of road has been sealed. With improved road infrastructure, this has also lessened the travelling time and burden for commuters. Contractor Ribro Construction Limited has handed over the 10 kilometers road after successfully completing its roadworks. There will be no free education for students in the autonomous region of Bougainville. This year, the Bougainville Education Board approved tuition fee limits, which means parents will pay. Secretary of the Autonomous Bougainville Government Education Department, Justin KEHATSIN, told MTV News in Buka today that tuition fees apply to all levels of education in the region. Fabian Hakalets files this report from Buka.
A lessons learned exercise from the national government's tuition fee-free policy has forced the Bougainville Education Board to impose the decision and is to charge tuition fees.
It is not adequate to finance the learning facilities that are required in our provinces, in our schools here. And not only that, the money that we receive will only pay for certain facilities and certain learning materials that we get for our students here in Bougainville.
Section 19 of the Bougainville Education Act 2013 gives power to the Bougainville Education Board to impose tuition fees. Mr. KEHATSIN says Bougainville needs standard and quality education and has exercised its powers, which are part of the drawdown of powers from the national government to the autonomous Bougainville government.
It's Section 19, which allows the Bougainville Education Board to impose fees on all the schools in Bougainville. This is also one of the powers which was thrown down from the National Department of Education. This throwdown power also gives us the right for us to implement any decision which will be for the good of our children in Bougainville.
Meanwhile, normal classes for the 2017 academic year resumed today. However, most schools like Hujana Secondary School were still sorting out students' registration and will begin formal classes on Wednesday. The Bougainville Education Secretary has called for cooperation among all stakeholders of education. As the new secretary, he said priority will be on teachers as the backbone of education.
We must all work together. If we are so concerned about the education of our students, it will take the effort of everybody to bring the standard up to new height.
In Boca, Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas, rescue teams are busy fanning out throughout Chile's central and southern regions to combat fires that have overrun at least 400,000 hectares and killed at least 11. The South American country has also begun identifying and bringing in suspects, pointing its finger at 43 people for playing a role in the spreading of the flames.
Local media captured the arrest and confession of one of the suspects who acknowledged starting fires from the garbage. If convicted, the arsonists face up to 20 years behind bars. There is still roughly 127 active forest fires still in Chile, and about a half are under control, according to government officials. Chilean President Michelle Bachelet, who has been publicly accosted by Chileans over the official response, said she doesn't believe any foreign actors played any role in the fires. A woman from Bio region, who was not named in reports, has been accused of starting fires in the sector of El Roble. She acknowledged having left out crumpled rubbish and lighting it without providing her motive. Her arrest and hearing were caught on camera. She is said to suffer from mental disturbances, according to Chilean media reports. The judge said the investigation is to be concluded in 4 months. More than 10,000 people are thought to be involved in the effort to combat the flames. About 264 arrived Saturday from abroad, including from Europe. Many homes in O'Higgins, among other sites, remain under threat. Other environmental factors are said to be playing a role as well, as winds in the badly affected Bio have moved the fires to the northern part of the region. Chile, along the seismically active Pacific Ring, is no stranger to natural disasters. It is often walloped by earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and strong storms. As a result, its emergency response teams, building codes, and residents are usually well prepared to confront such situations. But the scale of this season's fires have overwhelmed authorities. The fires have now been burning for 2 weeks. Lorraine Gabina, MTV World News.
Tens of thousands of people rallied in U.S. cities and at airports yesterday to voice outrage over President Donald Trump's executive order restricting entry into the country for travelers from 7 Muslim-majority nations. In New York, Philadelphia, and Boston, a second wave of demonstrations began in the afternoon after spontaneous rallies broke out at U.S. airports on Saturday as U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents began enforcing Trump's directive.
The protests yesterday were expected to spread westward as the day progressed. The president's order, which bars admission of Syrian refugees and suspends travel to the United States from Iraq, Iran, Sudan, and 4 other countries on national security grounds, has led to the detention or deportation of hundreds of people arriving at U.S. airports. One of the largest of yesterday's protests took place at the Battery Park in Lower Manhattan, within sight of the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor, along a symbol of welcome to U.S. shores. The march, estimated to have grown to about 10,000 people, later began heading to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Office in Lower Manhattan. Trump has defended the executive order, in a statement yesterday saying the United States would resume issuing visas to all countries once secure policies were put in place over the next 90 days, and denied it was a Muslim ban. Lorraine Gabina, MTV World News.
You're watching National MTV News. We have all the action in round 2 of the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup football and softball preparations for PNG Games. That's up next in Chukai Sports.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup round 2 matches were played yesterday with a wash-out match between Whitehaven City Bunnies and Mixmates before Day 2 competition started off with Gilue up against Badili Warako. All teams in the competition are on a break until Thursday before the grand final.
A total of 18 teams locked horns in round 2 of the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup, with Whitehaven and Mixmates opening the match to play in a washout match that was pushed back from day 1 of the competition. Mixmates in green with their Skill Rise jerseys on nailed the coffin with an 8-point win over the Bunnies before the first game of the CCIC kicked off for day 2 with a match between Hohola Flies and United. Hohola Flies finished off with an emphatic 18 points win to United's 2. In a match between NBC Watchdogs and Pom Muruks, the Dogs gave the Muruks a run for their money with 14 points win to Muruks 10. And in other matches, City Redbacks defeated NDB Aviators with 28 points, while Freeway Bumpers crushed Paga Panthers 20 points to 14, and QPR Wanderers overpowered Iralai with a 2 points difference, 6-4. A Whitehaven City Bunnies and Mixmates playoff was put off due to no time. Tournament director Simon Maima said the number of teams from last year's competition have risen to 24, and with so much interest, the numbers may even increase next year.
We had a big change since 2012-13 and upwards. I had 18 teams last year, now I had 24, which include another 6 onto it. Now we'll play it off next weekend, Thursday all the way to Sunday finals. And we have 24 teams, 12 in each pool, Central and NCD separately, playing off in each pool of 6.
The teams are on rest until Thursday before the finals on this weekend. Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
To football, the PNG men's national football team has returned to camp in the capital in preparation for Stage 3 of the World Cup qualifying campaign. Featuring 8 new faces, including the return of Medang FC captain Samuel Kinney, the squad is rearing to go ahead of the crucial match against Tahiti in March.
Since the last camp held in early November, Serislev has used the opportunity to introduce a number of young talent as he hopes to build a squad prepared to meet the best from the Pacific, as well as set the foundation for future PNG national teams.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, we have chosen 4 of the under-20 players who are, all of them are very skillful and talented players. Then we have Samuel Kinney from Madang. We have Eli David, goalkeeper from Carlo.
Amongst the new faces were Kolu Kepo from the Central Province, Emmanuel Iron from Madang, and Australian-based players Brad McDonald and George Sleffendorfus.
Both of them playing in Australia, and we are brought into this camp because we hope that we will have dual citizenship for them. We really hope that the government will help us to do this very soon.
The Dane expressed disappointment at the unavailability of key members of the squad, with Hikari United not having released their own players ahead of their own OFC Champions League roster.
Yeah, it seems to me that Hikari has boycotted the national team. It's totally impossible for us to get in contact with them. They are not answering mails, they are not answering phones, so it's very strange for me as a national team coach that you put a club higher than your country. But for sure we will manage anyhow, we'll build a good team.
Do you think it is time for Fleming Serislev?
Serislev's concerns appear justified. In May 2016, he guided Papua New Guinea to its first ever Nations Cup final after a stellar performance throughout the tournament and victory over arch Melanesian rivals the Solomon Islands. And the core of that side are not in camp at present. He has, however, maintained a positive outlook and claims that the side will face their qualifiers as best prepared as possible.
No, I've been very satisfied with the camp until now. It's first of all a physical camp. We have to prepare even as well as we did for the Nations Cup, but the players are doing very well.
Papua New Guinea have been pulled against the Solomon Islands and Tahiti, with their first match against the Tahitians on the 23rd of March. Jeremy Mogi, National TV Sports.
Team NCD women's softball team will start training this weekend in preparation for the PNG Games. The team is mostly made up of young girls and a few experienced players.
Team manager Rodi Soweni says they've selected a young team to get the girls more exposed to playing at a higher level of competition.
It's a young team. We'll be going out there to challenge. We know out there we'll be facing with all reps throughout other centers, but it's a good thing that we're taking the young ones, basically to have them to feel that experience of taking on field, challenging mostly the reps in other centers.
They will have only a month of training before the start of the PNG Games in Kimbe.
We haven't been starting training as yet. However, we just started a walk around the block, Bicini Parade, on last Thursday. By next weekend, Sunday, we'll be full swing with our training.
With most of the younger players playing in the A-grade division in NCD softball competition, they are confident the team will do okay.
And we have confidence, that's why we have selected them to take part and to be the rep of softball with NCD team.
The team is not allowed to train at the Bicini Diamonds, but have secured a training ground to prepare for the PNG Games. The PNG Games will start on the 18th of March in Kimbe, West New Britain Province, with softball to kick off on day 4 of competition. Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports, tennis and NRL news on the other side of this break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To tennis, and after 5 years since his last Grand Slam victory, Roger Federer triumphed over his old rival Rafael Nadal to winning his 18th major trophy at just 35 years of age. It was with delight and disbelief. Federer once again couldn't believe he would win the Australia Open title with Nadal on the other side of the court, making 6-4, 3-6, 6-1, 3-6 and 6-3.
After being away from tennis for at least 6 months, Federer finally managed to make his way back into the Australian Open title to find himself facing his all-time rival Rafael Nadal and an epic battle. With a blistering start from both ends, Nadal had the advantage on the court on the first set, but that was changed as Federer gained momentum while each set was fiercely contested. In the end, it was delight and relief for Federer, taking the victory at 6-4, 3-6, 6-1, 3-6, 6-3.
The comeback was perfect as it was. So tennis is a tough sport. There's no draws, but if there was going to be one, I would have been very happy to accept the draw tonight and share it with Rafa, really.
2 unlikely finalists, 2 legends of the sport, but 1 familiar winner, Roger Federer, in disbelief, a champion once again holding a trophy he never thought he could ever win. Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
NRL team Gold Coast Titans is troubled at the prospect of approaching round 1 of the 2017 season with a number of their top players injured and some only just recovered. The Titans are still without the services of their 2 key players, Kevin Proctor and Conrad Harrell, in training. Halfback Ash Taylor said their current absence due to knee injuries definitely took its toll on the team in training. Taylor himself is recovering from an off-season groin surgery and will be present for the season opener, though it may well be a fidgety start for him as well. The team is also missing English recruit Dan Sargentson to injury, though details were not revealed. Proctor and Harrell are expected to resume training 2 weeks prior to round 1 of the 2017 season. And that's a wrap on True Kai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, in the southern region, showers in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerema, Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momasi region, showers in Lae, Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. And in the islands region, a shower or two in Lorengau and Buka, thundery showers in Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, morning fog clearing in all centres. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerema to Yule Island, to Hood Point to Samarai Island, with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, with waters of Samarai Island to Cape Bogle, to Finschhafen, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait, CSC Islands to Long Island, with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters west of Long Island to Bogia, to Wewak, to Aitape, to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea, sea slide to northeast to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Solomon Sea, sea slide with southwest at southwest to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, sea slide with easterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, sea slide with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Before we go, the world will soon learn U.S. President Donald Trump's choice to fill the empty seat on the U.S. Supreme Court.
We have outstanding candidates, and we will pick a truly great Supreme Court justice.
President Donald Trump is done interviewing candidates, according to a senior administration official. And Trump now making it clear he has winnowed down his list of potential Supreme Court nominees.
I have made my decision pretty much in my mind, yes.
Next
question. I mean, it's subject to change at the last moment, but I think this will be a great choice.
If approved, the president's nominee will replace Justice Antonin Scalia, who passed away last February. The seat has remained vacant since then, after Senate Republicans refused to hold a vote for then-President Obama's nominee, Judge Merrick Garland. The administration official tells CNN that Trump has narrowed his list to 4 candidates, 3 men and 1 woman. They are Judge Neil Gorsuch, who sits on the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in Colorado. He's a former clerk for Justices Byron White and Anthony Kennedy. He closely aligns with Antonin Scalia's conservative philosophy. Gorsuch is 49 years old. Also under consideration is William H. Pryor, Jr., who serves on the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in Georgia. He was appointed by George W. Bush in 2005. Pryor is 54 years old and disagrees with the Roe v. Wade decision legalizing abortion. Judge Thomas Hardiman sits on the 3rd Circuit Court of Appeals in Pennsylvania. He was nominated by George W. Bush in 2006. He serves on the same court as Trump's sister. Hardiman is 51 years old. The 4th finalist is Dianne Sykes. She serves on the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago. She was also nominated by George W. Bush, and Sykes is a former reporter for the Milwaukee Journal. She's 59 years old. Whomever the president picks, finding support from Democrats still upset over the treatment of Obama's court nominee may pose a challenge.
If the nominee is not bipartisan and mainstream, we absolutely would keep the seat open. I'm hopeful that maybe President Trump would nominate someone who is mainstream and who could get bipartisan support. We shall see. But if they don't, yes, we'll fight it tooth and nail, as long as we have to.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. 2017 legal year opens with call for unity. Late Sir Henry Chow described as a humble man, and gun surrender date set for Hela. And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight, Monday the 30th of January 2017. From the entire EMTV news crew, pleasant viewing. Good night.